We are ranking the 10 priciest Japanese whiskeys, from overhyped disappointment to bottles that actually justify their eye-watering price tags. Some are investment darlings that taste like antique furniture polish. A few hidden gems truly deliver liquid gold for the mortgage payment. Which collectible is an expensive letdown, and which rare pour earns its place in history? Let us begin with number 10. Yamazaki 25. Year-old wears its age like a warning label. Mizunara oak, prized for its sandalwood aroma, turns from seductive to suffocating after 25 years. At 25 years, the whiskey's once delicate fruit is buried under a wave of incense, dried moss, and bitter wood. The color is darker than the 18, but the flavor is all varnish and temple smoke. Chemically, the translactone levels are off the charts. Critics describe a glass as expensive wood water, with sandalwood and spice crowding out everything else. At $5,000 to $12,000 per bottle, this is prestige priced for display, not pleasure. Nikka Taketsuru 25-year-old commands a price tag of $3,000 to $6,000. Yet what pours into the glass is more silk robe than knockout punch. This is a blended malt, a marriage of Yoichi's peat and Miyagikyo's fruit, crafted to showcase polish, not power. Bottled at 43% alcohol by volume, the whiskey glides across the palate with gentle orchard fruit, faint smoke, and a softness that critics call refined, but at this tier, underwhelming. The finish is clean, almost shy, lacking the intensity or complexity expected at this level. For collectors, it's a trophy. For drinkers, it's velvet without the thrill. Ichiro's Malt and Grain Limited commands up to $8,000, but the liquid inside is not even fully Japanese. Before 2021, labels could quietly blend imported Scotch, Canadian, or Irish whiskey with local malt, then charge a premium for the Ichiro name. Ichiro Akuto himself lobbied to keep the loophole open, citing shortages. The 2021 labeling reform forced a change. Bottles now must say World Blend if they contain any foreign spirit. For collectors, the price tag can still be tempting. For purists, paying thousands for a blend that is not 100% Japanese feels like buying a Swiss watch with a Chinese movement. Authenticity takes a clear hit, dragging down the flavor per dollar score. Hakushu 25-year-old is Japan's answer to Highland Peat, but at $5,000 to $11,000 a bottle, the flavor is almost defiantly niche. This whiskey leans into moss, pine needles, and a gentle, lingering smoke, evoking a walk through a damp cedar forest after rain. The peat here is not the brash Islay style. It is herbal, almost medicinal, with green apple and wild mint drifting through every sip. For some, that complexity is a revelation. For most, it's too much forest floor, not enough fruit or sweetness. At 43% alcohol by volume, the subtlety gets lost in the undergrowth, making it a connoisseur's bottle rather than a crowd pleaser. Karuizawa's Geisha series sits on a pedestal built from scarcity, not flavor. After the distillery closed in 2000, collectors scrambled for any remaining casks, driving prices for bottles like the ruby and white geishas into the $20,000 to $40,000 range. But what is inside is a gamble. Karuizawa's small stills and golden promise barley created a heavy, oily spirit, notorious for picking up sulfur, sometimes yielding meaty, rubbery notes that drown out the sherry and fruit. Some casks deliver haunting complexity. Others are outright sulfur bombs, undrinkable at any price. The geisha labels are beautiful, the story of a lost distillery irresistible. But the reality is this: you are paying a premium for extinction. Rarity cannot guarantee greatness. In the glass, the Geisha series is a lottery ticket, one with odds that often favor the house. The Hanyu Card series is less a whiskey collection than a 60-piece game of high-stakes bingo. Each bottle wears a playing card on its label, inviting collectors to chase the full deck, never mind what is inside. Prices for individual cards have soared, from $12,000 for a lowly club to $66,000 for a rare Mizunara finished ace. The real action happens off the pallet. Stories of hologram swaps, counterfeit labels, and bottles refilled with supermarket scotch have haunted the secondary market for years. Liquid quality varies from decent to very good, but the value is held hostage by completion fever and speculative trading. For most buyers, the whiskey is just a prop in a never-ending quest to finish the set. Drinkers get decent malt. Collectors get a shelf of fragile assets, and sometimes, a very expensive fake. Yamazaki 55-year-old is the whiskey world's ultimate status symbol, an $800,000 trophy that spends more time in bank vaults than on dinner tables. Only 200 bottles exist, each released in 2020 and 2021, and every auction since has played out like a fever dream, with bids leaping from $300,000 to nearly $1 million in minutes. But behind the headlines and the lacquered presentation box, the liquid tells a harsher story. Extended aging in Mizunara oak has pushed sandalwood and incense notes past luxury into sensory overload, leaving the underlying spirit fragile and nearly invisible. Collectors admit they're chasing investment returns, not flavor. Open a bottle, and what greets you is less a celebration than a wall of old wood, over-oaked, drying, and almost undrinkable. For those who crave a drinking experience, Yamazaki 55 is less liquid gold and more a very expensive paperweight. Hanyu the Joker stands alone in the card series, not as a collector's oddity, but as a genuine masterpiece. Unlike its siblings, some more valuable for their labels than for their liquid, the Joker is a triumph of blending. Ichiro Akudo selected over a dozen casks, marrying sherry, bourbon, and even rare Mizunara matured malt into a single bottling that delivers fireworks on the palate. Tasting panels have awarded it scores of 93 to 95 points, calling out layers of dark cherry, spiced plum, cocoa, and a finish that seems to echo for minutes. There is no sulfur, no off notes, just wave after wave of fruit, spice, and old oak. At over $10,000 a bottle, it is not cheap, but for once, the price reflects what is in the glass. The Joker proves that, even at the top end of Japanese whiskey, complexity and balance can outshine hype. Collectors chase the card, but drinkers savor the miracle. Hibiki 30-year-old is the rare bottle that justifies its $5,000 price tag with what is actually inside. Crafted by Shingo Tori, this blend draws from Yamazaki's lush fruit, Hakushu's subtle smoke, and Cheetah's silk-smooth grain, weaving them together until not a single note is out of place. The nose is a tapestry of acacia honey, polished wood, and wildflowers. On the palate, waves of dried apricot, fig, and delicate spice glide into a finish that lingers for minutes, never cloying, always poised. Unlike single malts that can veer into eccentricity or excess, Hibiki 30-year-old achieves a harmony that feels effortless. Judges at the World Whiskies Awards have given it gold medals for 3 years in a row, and for good reason. It is seamless, endlessly drinkable, and somehow both complex and welcoming. For those who would actually open a luxury bottle, this is the benchmark: liquid artistry with no sharp edges, only pleasure. Karuizawa, 1960. Cask number 5627 is as close as whiskey ever gets to a religious experience. Distilled in the shadow of Mount Asama in 1960, this single cask slumbered for 52 years in a forgotten warehouse, surviving closure, neglect, and the risk of being lost forever. The liquid inside was forged in a tiny coal-fired still using Golden Promise barley, then condensed through a worm tub, yielding an oily, weighty spirit that defied convention even in its day. By the time it was discovered and bottled in 2011, only a handful of bottles could be drawn from the cask, each one a time capsule of old Japan. What pours into the glass is history itself, layer upon layer of ancient sherry, dark fruit, tobacco leaf, and a dense, earthy richness that no modern distillery can replicate. The 52 years of aging did not erase the spirit's soul. Instead, it deepened every note, binding oak and malt in a way critics call transcendent. Tasting panels have called it a symphony of flavors that unfolds for minutes, never collapsing under the weight of its age. Auction estimates now top $500,000, but for those lucky enough to taste it, the price is almost beside the point. This Karuizawa 1960 is not just the most expensive Japanese whiskey, it is the greatest ever bottled, proof that once in a century, rarity and quality can meet in a single glass. Across all 10 bottles, one pattern stands out. Price and prestige rarely guarantee a transcendent pour. In Japanese whiskey, rarity often outpaces refinement. The real luxury is not the label, it is what is in the glass. For collectors and drinkers alike, that is the only truth that matters. Which would you open?